In this post-Legion of Boom era, Seattle's defense has struggled to find their identity. It's not easy, trying to stand out while also standing in the shadow of one of the best defensive units the NFL has ever seen. But this year's defensive leaders are trying to create a new culture, and it might look a lot like the old.
Just how they play for each other. I feel like, if one went down or one made a mistake, there's always someone right there to pick them back up. And I feel like that's the type of environment that we want to create. We want to bring that back.
Chemistry, one of the most elusive and most necessary components almost every great team or unit has. The Super Bowl winning Legion of Boom certainly did.
Those guys love each other so much that they'll do whatever it takes, to make this next play or just get their job done. And when you have that type of commitment, that type of love for one another, it makes you want to play even harder. So that's the type of environment we want to bring back here, that love for one another.
That iconic Seattle defense was made up of 11 guys whose walks of life were as different as the positions they played on the field. Each player a star in their own right, but it was the way they played together that made them a force that laid the boom.
So what are some practical steps to creating that environment again?
Just getting closer. I feel like spending more time outside. I think a lot of people don't notice how much, outside the building, spending more time with the actual guys, getting to know who they are, and understand that we playing this game. We got guys who have families, and you want them to do great because you want to be able to provide for their family. So you're working for him and their family. So when you understand that, that environment you create outside this facility, it brings all on the football field. Knowing that I know that guy and I know his kids and his family, I want to do whatever it takes to make sure he can continue to provide for them. So, that's the type of environment that we've been creating, outside this, facility.
When the LOB was at their fiercest, there was one undrafted free agent who was soaking it all in. Deshaun Shedd spent 5 years learning from the Legion of Boom, playing a lot of special teams and backing up Seattle's corners. Back in action green, Shedd says he sees a lot of similarities between the culture this squad is creating and the one here when he was just starting out.
You can feel it coming back. It's still growing, and it's a day-to-day process as well, but that's what makes the Seattle Seahawks great. That's what makes us a great team when we get to the fourth quarter. If we're down by 2 touchdowns, knowing that we're still going to win, it's that trust, and that trust is real because it's not just on the field, it's off the field. Once you learn and know each other's families, you get to hang out, get to know one another personally, now you're playing a lot more selfless, and that's the whole goal. And that's the way of the Seattle Seahawks.
Whether all that off-the-field bonding translates into on-the-field success remains to be seen, but their cause might be helped by the reintroduction of Deshaun Shedd, a member of that 2014 championship defense who got the call from Pete Carroll near the end of July that he was wanted back in Seattle.
Just grinding, training every day, waiting for my opportunity. Whenever I got a call from anywhere, I wasn't going to be not ready. So I just been grinding.
That's what Deshaun Shedd was doing when his phone finally rang. He left Seattle after an ACL tear cut his 2017 season short. Playing last year with the Lions, he knew, as well as anybody, he wasn't quite the electric player he'd been pre-injury.
Because I had the injury, and when I left here, you can see I didn't have that burst. I didn't have that full range of motion in my leg, and you can see it on tape.
A year ago when we worked him out, he just wasn't all, in my opinion, knowing him as a young man growing up and all, he wasn't fully back to the standards that we would expect. And we couldn't come to an agreement then.
The former Portland State Vikings spent the offseason grinding and doing a little campaigning at Earl Thomas's retirement party, making sure Carroll knew he was looking for a job. A few months later, he got a workout where he heard the words anybody recovering from a leg injury longs to hear.
He couldn't tell the difference between the two. Had a great workout, I was conditioned, and they signed me that day.
There's been a little bit of a campaign for me to understand what he's capable of doing. He came out here in the field the other day and looked great. He looked as good as he's ever looked. He was quick and strong and fit and in shape. He brings us the versatility of playing safety and corner. He can play in the nickel package. He's an excellent special teams player. Better than that, he's a great competitor.
And he's already made a house call for the Hawks. In week 2 of the preseason, he took former Beavs Sean Mannion's pass all the way to pay dirt. Shedd's just happy to be back playing the game he loves.
As soon as I caught that ball, I looked up, and there was a couple of guys to my left, and I knew then I'm about to outrun them. My mindset was to score, get the ball in the end zone for my team, and get back and line up and play the next play.
Yeah, another big play. It was a big play last week, big play this week. Good for him. Good for us. It was a really well-played play, and they made a little error, and we took advantage of it, and put it in the end zone, which was a big play.
One of the hottest names to watch from this Seahawks camp, defensive tackle Poona Ford. He saw action in 11 games last year for the Hawks, logging 21 tackles and getting to the quarterback 3 times. This camp, he's impressed his teammates on both sides of the ball, including DJ Fluker, who's had to see a lot of the 5'11", 310-pound 23-year-old this camp.
Poona is a challenge. That's a grown man right there. He's a great dude, man. He's real squatty. Playing against him, man, he got good quickness. Good quickness to be inside, long arms, plays hard to the whistle, and those are the kind of guys you need. Those are the kind of guys that that you need on your team, and I think he does a great job with that. I mean, even last year he showed up.
With defensive tackle Jaron Reed potentially missing up to 6 weeks as he faces a league suspension, the Seahawks need Poona to be a problem for opposing teams. Standing under 6 feet, Ford isn't as tall as others in his position, but he views that as a positive and is using it to his advantage as he works to make the starting squad by opening day.
Really, that's what really separates me from everybody else, like amongst the group, and just one thing I do is try to be consistent, and that's what it takes in this game is consistency and execution to be great. You already results them, so all you need to really do is just run your feet and just lock them out. But that helps a lot. You feel me? And once I put it all together, you'll see how much really a factor it is.